Late afternoon, everybody. I am Zach, otherwise known as Great Zamino. I use he, him pronouns, and I am your GM with the in the PMs, I don't know, for The Hole in the World, our actual play series set in the Invisible Sun universe, in the Invisible Sun RPG by Monty Cook Games. I am once again, as always, joined by a fantastic cast today. However, we are sans Bill, so unfortunately we will be not having his fantastic contribution to the stream today, but we still have three fantastic cast members to go ahead and introduce. Marcy, if you'd like to start us off.
Hello, everyone. I'm still Marcy. You all know, aka Experimental Madness. Still the same username. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet, except for Twitter, where I like to remain as the resident cryptid. Seldom seen, seldom heard on there, which I think has been really beneficial to my mental health. I highly recommend it. And I'm once again delighted to be back, playing Gabrielle Kazan, the iconoclastic ardent apostate who hosts a choir.
Awesome. And we are going to move over to the other side of the overlay. Hopper, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, if I can figure out how to unmute myself. What's up, everybody? I'm Hopper. I am at Fail Deadly on most social media platforms, or if my other projects are under the Legend Tree. At Fail Deadly is with a 3 instead of an E, because I'm a kind of shit person. I use they them pronouns. I am a professional arborist and game master based out of Brooklyn, New York, and tonight I am returning as Twigg, the mendicant gallant apostate who heralds beginnings.
Awesome. Finally, rounding out our lovely trio this week, Marissa, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Marissa, she, her pronouns, also known as Critical Kitten, with various punctuation here and there on the internet. I am a TTRPG editor, book editor in my day job, and general lover of games, hence my being here today. And today I am playing Kyrrie von Hollingsworth, the first assistant librarian of the Order of the Vance. She is an eremitic stoic who understands the words, guardian of Zaleska's grimoire, curator of King Nine's library, and maven of mirrors, apparently.
Excellent. So, guys, I think, and hey, Fantasy Animal Vegan, so good to see you. Guys, we got so much crazy stuff to go over, so I better get started on this recap. Let me put on some music. And once again, as always, guys, if there's any issues with the audio or anything you hear level wise with the music, let us know. We can adjust it forthwith. So, when last we left our vislae, Maurice had traveled inside of the crew's extra-dimensional valise to retrieve Kyrrie from her long day of studying in the Vespertine's reading room. Unbeknownst to the Weaver, the young Vance had seemingly been guided to the small library by the mirror creatures that have been following her from Saturnine. Employing reflected light, the mirrors guided Kyrrie to a stack of research the Vespertine agents had pertaining to the Gold Sun. Facing a massive framed mirror as an obstacle, Maurice attempted to shatter it to move forward, but instead glimpsed it disappearing in a glare of light once Kyrrie managed to finish her studies. After discussing the mirror threat outside of the valise, all 4 vislae pressed forward into the realm of the Golden Sun, but only after Gabrielle received care packages from the Sterling and General Kazan, a sainted sniper rifle, and Gabrielle's unused baby blanket created by Kieran Monvilas, respectively. Stepping through a color door into the Gold Sun, the vislae were met at the threshold by Kessia, an attendant of Lady Shima, the Gold Sun Warden. Learning that the Shima would be attending to duties at Abayash Monastery, the vislae convinced the attendant to transport them to that location within the Gold Sun. After a quick survey of their surroundings and a question asked of the actuality, the vislae learned of both Shima's location and a string of murders terrorizing the Elderbrin encampment of the Gold Sun. By gaining the Sun Warden's attention and trading a pair of human ears for fairy cat ears, the vislae were able to speak to her regarding their mission to dispose of the Vespertine. Directed to 2 means of quick travel, the vislae now find themselves traversing the roiling golden plains outside Abayash, the Elderbrin encampment awaiting them. So, let me once again go ahead and change the music. All right. So, all of you are traversing these golden roiling plains, and the thing that strikes you about this terrain is as you move past it, it does seem to always bend and shift in such a way that even these kind of stalks of savanna-like growths as you traverse these this terrain, it seems to always be ever shifting, and you realize that basically the wind of this sun is kind of shifting directions, often without any kind of semblance of rhyme or reason. And there's just this long, beautiful expanse of vegetation just past the grounds of the Abayash Monastery, all 4 of you making your way. Now, when you guys were given the option for quick travel to the Elderbrin encampment, what you had been told was that there were 2 primary methods by which you could traverse. You could travel down the nearby river, all the way feeding towards the Dolor Sea, where on the banks and the shore of that sea, the encampment is known to be located and situated, or you can, and that would be several days travel. But on the other hand, you could seek means of traversing the Golden Sun by air, in the form of taming some local fauna. Now, I have to ask, which option are you guys pursuing?
If we're voting on it, I think Gav's vote would be to go via river.
Yeah, I think river would make most sense to Kyrrie too, although I do like the idea of encountering what local fauna we would happen to stumble upon.
Upper really wants to try to find out what flying bullshit, giant eagle shenanigans we have access to, but Twigg is extremely pro nap and river.
Okay. I will say this. You have been told that the creatures that you would encounter are basically winged wild boars, and essentially they are friendly, but you have to prove.
You mean?
Sorry, are we experiencing, just the when pigs fly scenario?
Could be. Could very well be.
Just okay. All right.
But the idea is that these creatures, which you formally understand are called, let me look them up, the Paciferous Sanguine, they're very they're very friendly creatures, but you have to prove yourself worthy of kind of their attention.
Does that make them sanguine swine?
Yeah, sanguine swine. Sanguine flying swine.
No.
Yes.
You can't keep getting away with it.
Zach, we do know where you live.
You do. This is true.
Is it kosher for me to be flying on that though?
Hey, only you can answer this question.
I gotta send a message to like a dozen rabbis right now.
I love it. Yeah, so you guys have been with this additional context, does this change anything?
No. That seems like asking for a difficult problem when we could just nap on a boat.
Okay. So, I will say this. Give me, I think you guys are, you realize not very far from your intended objective, which I think at which point, basically Kessia directed you towards a barge nearby, several miles nearby. away from your current location. And at the same time, or rather a river dock. And at the same time, I think, describe for me your marching order, because I think there is one thing that is for sure, which is that Maurice seems to be ambling and like paying special care and attention to Duncan behind all of you. How's everybody feeling? What are you doing? What is your marching order?
I feel like Gab would probably be in the lead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead.
I think maybe Kyrrie, I mean, apart from Maurice, Kyrrie might bring up the rear, aka third.
So I have to ask, okay, and
Twigg is just constantly kind of on the path, but like dipping off and getting distracted by stuff and then coming back and then dipping off again.
Yeah, you're zigging while we zag.
Yes, that is correct, yes.
So this is, and by the way, Twigg, you have been noticing that some of the sounds that you took for granted as you were kind of like traversing the terrain are kind of like just the sounds of even like the rolling vegetation here. They seem a lot sharper and a lot keener as you're like, as though kind of amplified a little bit. Have you realized yet that you now have a new set of ears?
I'm gonna roll a perception. That is a 5 plus something. Let's find out.
I will say on a baseline of a 5. I was waiting for a 0 or a 1.
I think at a certain point when when an ear twitches, it's kind of like a.
Yeah, sorry if I may be so bold. I think that your ear flicks the back of your head and you swat at an imaginary insect or fly, and then you end up cupping your own ear on the side.
What? I think Twigg comes back. It's like, hey. What the fuck?
Are you going up to us?
Yeah. Like, I think to whoever is closest. Like, Twigg is just like kind of visibly like, hey, what the fuck? What? I think there's something around here and it's changing. It changed my ears and I do not know how to unchange that.
Would you make me an intellect roll, please?
I'm gonna laugh my freaking ass off if this is a 0. All right, so if it's just a straight intellect roll, that is a sweet 2.
Yeah,
if it's magical lore, that's a 3.
Yeah, this is weird. You don't know what happened. Why the hell are your ears so different? This is crazy.
Yeah. Why? What is this? Also, Twigs from the 80s prior to Catgirl jokes. Fuck you guys. You get to make Catgirl jokes.
Gab wouldn't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is y'all's response to this?
I feel like Gab briefly turns around, hearing Twig starting a commotion, and just there's like a very tiny smirk of amusement before she's like, honestly, I think it might be an improvement.
Thanks, Gav. That's helpful. Thanks.
Are you just noticing this?
You mean you knew?
Just now.
We all saw it.
Obvious when it happened.
No. When did it happen? I think Twig's just like kind of yanking on the ears.
It's like hard to say it. Like I think Gab thinks about it today. As far as we know what time it actually is.
I mean, I think the piece of information you want is how, and I think it had something to do with the warden, if I'm not mistaken. Your persistent insistence, that thing.
All right. Turnabout is fair play. Where you can see the petty wheels turning in their head.
I'm sure there's a way to change it back. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Can you hear better with them? Like, is there a marked improvement over your previous hearing?
I imagine like we see Twig cock their head a little bit, and then you just see an ear just kind of do a quick.
Twig, going forward, you with this change, I'm going to give you one enhancement that you can add to your perception rolls. If you basically you can choose to add it and expire it for that scene. It'll reset on the next sun up. There we go. However,
I thought you said sun death for a second. I got very stressed out.
Yeah. The sun death that always happens. So you will have that going forward. However, I'd like you to make me a perception roll.
Oh no. Oh, hey Raiders.
Hey.
So I can keep the fairy cat ears?
Yeah.
In exchange for a perception every so often, and I'm making a what roll? I got distracted by Red.
Perception. So you can choose to spend Bene however you want to do this.
Cool. Is this a specific type of perception? Is this self-awareness? Because I don't have any of that.
This is hearing related because you are
Who amongst us does?
You are craning your ear to listen.
Okay, so that will be a grand total of 4.
4, something seems off. And you're trying to I think attune to these new senses and kind of use them effectively. And then you hear a whimper that then echoes into a psychic voice. You realize is the voice of Duncan, just saying, Dad, where'd you go?
I think you see, we see Twig just spins around and look backs.
You do the look backs? Yeah.
I do the look backs. It's been a day, guy. I haven't done anything today. It's just been a day. Twig looks back to where Maurice is.
You do not see Maurice anywhere.
That's upsetting.
But there is Duncan appears to be snuffling an area of the ground, kind of almost frantically looking.
Ignoring this, and I will not forget this, but Maurice is gone.
Gab stops and turns around.
Kyrrie's eyes widen.
Maurice is nowhere to be seen behind you. Behind you is directly some distance away the Abayash Monastery, but you do not see Maurice bringing up the rear.
What do you mean gone? Gav immediately goes back to sort of where she last saw Maurice and is looking for, did somebody snatch him? Is there any signs of tracks or?
You can make me either an intellect or a perception roll.
I think I'm going to do perception because that's what I'm better at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Two. In theory, I'm better at it.
Did we rest at the monastery or no?
Yeah, totally. If you wanted to rest, you can use any of your rest actions. A long rest would be an overnight stay.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think you guys
No.
did that. Yeah.
No, but we can use one of those rest actions to refill
A
Bene from one thing.
Yeah,
right?
from one pool. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I am saying I did it with sorcery.
Same.
Cool.
Apostate life.
That apostate life, though. So I will tell you from that perception roll, the wind is shifting this terrain and the vegetation, and any tracks, I think, are lost in this process. But yeah, I think as you're kind of also sifting around and looking and trying to track things, you just see Duncan stop and sniff the air. Dad, and just takes off at a bolt past you.
I'm gonna chase after Duncan.
Yeah. Kyrrie too.
Same.
Okay, all right. As you guys chase after Duncan, the vegetation once again is roiling around and kind of basically kind of almost like very long grass is beginning to kind of obscure your path. In order to keep up with Duncan, I'd like you guys just to make a movement roll because he is very determined.
Sure, I'm going to spend a bene on that because I haven't done that. I haven't done a movement one in a while.
That's a 7 for me.
Okay.
Ooh, I rolled a 9 on the dice, so that'll make it a nice even 10.
And this, what are the options here?
Oh, you can add a bene. If you got an enhancement or a swordledge, you can add
I'm sorry.
to
I meant what was the pool? What was the skill type again?
movement.
Excellent. I am going to, I'll add a bene.
Cool. Go ahead and give me that roll.
That'll be a sweet 2 after that, bene.
Yeah, I think you are kind of still kind of caught trying to make sense of like where Maurice could have gone. I think what ends up happening is you get distracted by something that you do end up finding, or at least you think you see something in the vegetation. Is a small piece of woven spider silk.
Yeah, I think Twigg would just kind of like scramble down and try to grab that.
Yeah, and I think that unfortunately, kind of like just with the way that the terrain is moving, you only manage to snatch a piece of it, and it's very fine filament, but it feels just kind of like as you realize that with normal kind of like gray sun spiderwebs, they break apart in your hands if you kind of like move them too harshly. This thing, you have to kind of like yank at it in order to even tear a piece of it. It's very strong. So while you do that, Kyrrie and Gav, you keep pace with Duncan. Duncan is at a full tilt, making for closer and closer to the river. And as you guys kind of crest over this hill with the grass kind of weaving in front of you, you start beginning to hear the sounds of commotion and just kind of like people walking and treading ground and some conversations and snippets. And as you kind of come to the over this kind of crested hill, you see just a number of people making their way towards and from the riverfront, where there is seeming this kind of like this makeshift dock that seems to be kind of, I think, fairly well made. It kind of reminds you of some of like the latticed like Mucha-esque Art Nouveau style kind of structures, where basically it seems like some enterprising maker or other mage adept has basically kind of woven an entire dock structure that accommodates this very wide, about 20-foot wide river that upon which there are a number of floating boats. And it seems like Duncan is making a headlong sprint towards one that is just north of where you guys are. So, as you begin
Yeah.
kind of, so
I
go
want
ahead.
to try to, I'd like to try to like catch him before he yeets himself into either somebody else's boat or the river itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. You may make me a movement roll.
All right.
This might be a little bit too jaunty. Hold on. How'd you do?
I mean, I am chasing a dog. I rolled a 6 with the bene.
Okay. 6 with a bene. I think that you are keeping pace with him. He is running remind me, what level is Duncan now that you've awakened him, Twigg?
Oh, crap. I dumped the maximum possible.
He was like 5 or 3 or 5.
He's a relatively high level creature. Let me double check.
Mm-hmm.
It is a creature of level 4, lower than the abilities level. And I slammed, I think I was at, I think he's technically like a level, I think he might be a level 5 creature.
Whoa.
Okay, so I will tell you this. You are keeping pace with him. You do not manage to overtake him. just because he is putting all of his effort into this full tilt sprint.
Okay, I'm gonna say that Gav, like while running, tries to like slide and grab Duncan, and then just misses. But she's like skidded to a halt, like on her stomach at this point, trying to like grab the dog.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You've skidded, and right as I think you would like get a hand on Duncan and like kind of grab him around the waist, he manages to just leap like you think like a happy Shetty would basically be able to make like a pretty good like quick jump, but by virtue of the magic empowering him, he makes this massive leap into a boat.
Oh no.
And you just hear a young voice say, hey, where'd you come from, boy? Where were you? And as you look up, you see a 11-year-old boy managing this boat and just scritching him around the ears and under the snoot, and really just kind of giving him a lot of love, and basically just this, Duncan, I was worried about you.
What?
I think Kyrrie was right there after, I think Kyrrie was going to attempt to reason with Duncan, but had to catch up to Duncan first. But nonetheless, now she finds herself standing on the shore, staring into this boat, having the perfect eloquent, oh, we're so sorry, our dog. And then she hears this boy address Duncan by name. And all that's just...
Yeah.
Yeah, Gav immediately kind of pulls herself up, but it's just totally miffed.
So I think, Kyrrie, because you are taking this moment, I'd like you to make an intellect roll for me. Again, spend however much you'd like.
I'll add a bene to that. Mm-hmm. That's a 6 on the die, so 7 total.
Okay, so as you are, I think, studying this person in the boat, and I think by virtue of the fact that you have spent so much more time with Maurice than everybody else, there is something that as this boy raises his head and he's scritching Duncan, you recognize in his face. You recognize Maurice's face, but it is a much younger version of Maurice than you have ever seen. And not only that, but you all kind of have recalled seeing the Spider Prince, this kind of younger, more this kind of more svelte, but also just kind of like more regal form of Maurice. But in this form, it is a very young man, but you just looking into their eyes, there's this kind of like shining youth and intelligence. And then just he kind of slowly raises his head and I think looks at you, Kyrrie, and says, "Oh, Allegra, it's been a while. Sorry, you look different."
Yes, I changed my hair. Maurice, right?
That is my name.
How?
Gavriel, Cash, you guys changed your looks too. I mean, it's the gold, but this seems a little different.
Twigg just literally looks behind us.
Did he address me as Gav?
Yeah.
Huh. You know me?
Of course I know you. You're one of my favorite Elderbrin.
Wait, what?
What do you mean, what?
What do you mean, what?
Yeah. What do you mean, what?
are you guys playing a prank on me or something? Or...
Do you think that I'm an Elderbrin?
Well, yeah, it's a big part of your identity. Their traditions. You're one of the few vislae Elderbrin, probably maybe one of the only.
I think Twigg leans over to Kyrrie and goes, Elderbrin are the ones, they're just holes in the world, right?
He nods.
No,
She
that
also like points to the book.
Elderbrin are not lacunae. I'll just go ahead and quickly.
Oh.
Elderbrin are the changing kind of
Right.
fey-like creatures that basically they don't have a defined shape. The last one you remember encountering was Caraxia Clean, who was your neighbor Gavriel. The one with the head of an eagle that was screaming at you.
Was the head screaming at her?
Yeah.
Or was the eagle?
The sound, that's where the sound comes from.
Yeah, the sound comes from, there's usually a mouth. So I think Gav is just completely nonplussed, completely taken aback by not only seeing this de-aged Maurice, but there's some what. I think she stops and she points over at Twigg. And who do you think that is?
Kesh.
That's a new name.
Hold on a moment. And he begins swirling his hands. And he seems to be grabbing something out of the air. It is something that has been that you guys recognize what it looks like when Maurice performs a weave. And he seems to be kind of like rotating almost like a lens in front of you, and kind of like making this swirling oculus that he can look through and just saying to all of you, you're not from here.
And neither are you, lest I checked.
What are you talking about? I am going to turn a card.
Yeah.
As he begins kind of trying to puzzle through this situation. The inevitable cataclysm. Its color is gold, and it weakens silver. Its vision swans blades and water. Its meanings are bad luck, in endings, inevitability, and breaking a relationship. It's difficult to see this card turn as a positive one. Typically, even if it suggests that something unwanted comes to an end, it's usually a violent and costly one. This card might just be seen as ill fortune, but it could also be the end of a relationship, the end of an ongoing success, or that a significant possession like a house might be in danger of destruction. A significant relationship comes to an end, a disaster strikes, a structure collapses. An NPC foe faces bad luck, utter failure, or even death. The relationship between two NPCs foes ends. The PC spell ends unexpectedly. Whatever the PC is doing ends in failure. An NPC important to the PC dies. An NPC ends a relationship with the PC. Towers topple. The creatures die. Everything has an ending. And he kind of, I think, just tries to kind of study all of you again.
That's the other idiot's card.
Yeah, and
It is indeed.
looks at all of you before saying, so you're not my Allegra or my Gavriel or my Kesh, and I'm not your Maurice.
What?
Can I did not expect to do this or to ask this question in this episode, well, at all, I suppose. Can I check for signs of parallel realities?
You may certainly do that.
Multiverse?
Yep.
In my stream?
All right.
There's nothing
I will-
on
I'm
the
so
bright
glad I
side.
almost got a spit take out of that.
On the bright side, there's nothing mad about this multiverse. So,
You multiverse at Marcy?
You multiverse?
all right. Make your roll, Kyrrie.
Prison for
You
1,000
you
years.
multiverse me like the MCU?
That's an 8 on the dice.
Add your formal knowledge, magical knowledge to this.
Well, in that case, it's a 9.
Okay. So I will say this. There is a number of texts, kind of like almost like survey courses with kind of required texts that first year advances for a long time were kind of expected to attend to, although most people kind of looked at them as like a chore. One of the things that is discussed by a particularly boring Vance who didn't really have too much of a connection to the material, kind of citing the preposterousness of the idea, was the idea of something called a modality, which is a modality is a version of a vislae typically that exists solely within the realm of another sun. And typically they only manifest when their primary counterparts, and there's a great deal of dispute and debate over what constitutes a primary counterpart, is inactive. So in this case, when a primary counterpart or primary vislae is sleeping or otherwise traveling and traversing other suns, or perhaps is otherwise indisposed or put into some semblance of suspended animation, those counterparts basically become active, almost like the preservation of energy within the current magic within a closed system, as vislae themselves are very magical manifestations of this power. So in essence, these modalities can often represent fragments of people's personality, or they can represent wholly different individuals. They are no less real according to the Vance, but even that is up for debate.
Do they operate on the same channel of magic, or is it a different channel of magic?
It's a very good question.
I don't know. No, I don't know in character enough to ask that. So I'm just gonna sit here and just. Twigg does actually want to scope out Duncan right now and see what's Duncan's vibe.
Duncan is incredibly happy. I think is just getting scritched, and even and as this young Maurice's hands kind of like slow down trying to take everything in, you realize that this young Maurice is still kind of like petting Duncan almost reflexively between casting spells, and Duncan doesn't seem the worse for wear. He's almost as at ease as, or totally at ease as you've seen him with Maurice proper.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Yeah, Gav, this is so far above her. So she's mostly looking over at you, Kyrrie, because you've got that look on your face right now that's like, I think I have an answer to this. So she's just like staring at you, staring over at who she thinks is Maurice, and is just like, explain.
At which point, yeah, like Maurice looks at you, Kyrrie, and says, "You have an idea, don't you?"
I do. If it's correct, it's... Well, I don't know that there are known examples. No proof. It's always been a theory. Have you ever heard... Well, you're 11, why would you? But maybe you have. I don't know how this works. Have you ever heard the word modality?
I'm going to turn another card. And the card I turned is the Savage Sword, which is strengthens red, it weakens blue. Once again, vision, swans, blades, and water. War, savagery, strength, violence, brute force. A metaphor for any kind of weapon one might wield. The Savage Sword is our basest nature, our predilection towards violence, and our shameful bloodlust. There's also our strength to overcome obstacles and foes when we need to. It is the opposite of thought, strategy, or consideration. It is immediate and decisive without hesitation or regard for consequence. The Savage Sword is the opposite of the Revealing Knife in most respects. Some kind of conflict is imminent. Almost certainly blood will be shed, but this can go either way. It might be a danger to the person in question, or it might be a recommendation that they must use violence or brute force to succeed. This card can also indicate strength or even a specific individual who is known for their physical prowess. An NPC displays sudden, unexpected savagery and ruthlessness. I think because this is the opposite of kind of like clear thought, I think it's more instinct. I think that Maurice, the younger, looks at you and says, I don't think I know what you're talking about, but I think I have a feeling I know what it is. There's another me out there.
Yes.
Just like you are the other you. You're the other Allegra.
Well, about that, Allegra is my sister. We're related. I'm not actually Allegra. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have misled you that way. I just wanted to roll with the punches. Did they say that here?
That's, Allegra doesn't have a sister.
Well...
Not here anyway. Maybe that's what's different. Maybe there's some other version.
Interesting. So you are, in this theory, there would be a reality where I was never born, or where Allegra was the only Hollingsworth daughter.
I have to sit down. Gav like sits on the dock.
Yeah.
I think like Kyrrie gets this like fascinated look in her eyes. And I think at this point she's kind of like kneeling in the grass on the bank next to this boat. Tell me, young Maurice, do you have a full and complete memory?
It's just Maurice, by the way.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I don't mean to classify you incorrectly. Just from our perspective, Maurice is quite a bit older than you.
I'm a little bit older than I look.
He's fond of saying that too.
Well, in my case, it's very literal. Ever since the war, I've been aging backwards.
Oh, okay. Now I have to lie down. Now Gav is on her back.
I think Twigg is just standing there low-key slack-jawed and is going to rustle around in their coat while this conversation is happening, and looking for something that they're not entirely clear on how it works, why it works, or what it does, but it seemed important, and there's a very elaborate, oversized brass compass that at least was in their pocket.
Absolutely. You may pull out the multiphasic compass.
Excellent. Thank you. I would like to do that and listen to this, whatever's going on here.
Absolutely. I think as you are kind of talking here, Maurice just says, look, there's a bar by the dockside over here. Very makeshift, nothing fancy, but we can get a beer or...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, Gav rolls herself over and then stands up and her head is just spinning.
Yeah.
Wait, you're 11. Do you go to bars?
Nobody's carded me yet, if that's what you're asking. But I think that, honestly, when they understand the situation and, you know, they are as familiar with me as they are, then they make exceptions. And honestly, I don't usually have more than one anyway.
I suppose if you're older than you look, it's okay.
I mean, honestly, it's, you know, was that oftentimes it's just a little mix of feelings. It's not like it's going to actually do too much. But anyway, I'll have coffee if it'll make you feel better.
No, by all means, have whatever you like. This is your reality. We are your guests, I expect.
Is that how that works?
We did intrude into this Maurice's world.
Did we?
Look,
I suppose.
let's go to the Shucked Oyster, okay? And he walks up to this booth that's basically kind of like almost like a pop-up, but really what it is it is an open gigantic oyster in which a bar has been kind of like built or kind of magicked in, and there is
I wish like
I would go there in a
yeah, I would go there all the time.
yeah, and at which point there's just like a number of seats that are arrayed, at which point there's this kind of like crusty looking bartender behind it who
hey Zach, please define crusty.
When I say crusty, I mean like just like skin like leather. She's got these really kind of like very kind of toughened like by water, like constant kind of like exposure to the elements braids that are very neatly kind of like ribboned, but at the same time she's just kind of got this apron that seems perpetually stained, as well as
cancel the rest of the stream. I just want to hear
I love that story. we started, Hopper, you and I both started to like nod in perfect synchronization at this description. Like, go on, yes, tell me more.
And she
what are 3 other things about her?
well, she's new in town.
Heck yeah. So are we.
So she also, the first thing that happens is she exchanges a glance with Maurice and looks at this 11-year-old and says, "So usual?" And Maurice says, "I'll just have a coffee." And at which point she looks down and says, "Suit yourself. What can I get for all of you?"
I'll take 3 of the usuals.
Okay.
What are you guys getting?
What is the strongest liquor you have?
The usual, honestly.
I'll also have 3 of it.
Okay, and finally, Kyrrie.
I think Kyrrie leans forward and looks this bartender in the eye and goes, "Do you happen to have a drink called the Walrus and the Carpenter?"
Well, I can make you whatever that makes me think of, if that'll help.
I mean, we're in an oyster. I thought maybe.
Oh, God.
And she looks at you.
That's so good.
And I'm going to turn another card just for it.
Turn the card for alcohol.
Oh.
Now we're really using the Sooth deck.
I
now
think
we're playing Invisible Sun.
I
Oh,
mean, I'm
God.
sorry. We had pigs with wings earlier. Now we have an oyster.
This is Alice in Wonderland.
I think we just have to have, I think this drink has to have shoes and ships and sealing wax, maybe some cabbages, but
And king?
hopefully not a king.
This is great. I just pulled the unwelcome child is unwelcome because she is a horror. No one sees her for what she truly is, and they assume that the terrible things that happen around her have other causes. She maintains a facade of sweetness and love, exploiting our own inherent affection for children. She uses our desire to nurture against us. At best, once we have realized her nature, all we can really do is cast her out. Anything more would be wrong, for she is, after all, only a child. The unwelcome child is the apprentice of the Notions family and brings them no joy. Almost always involves one getting something they do not want.
It's a drink you do not want.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the Notions family. I don't know if we've ever pulled that card, or we haven't, like in very recent.
I think we may have a long time ago, and it was upsetting
I've
then.
completely forgotten that is the apprentice card.
So just to kind of give you an idea of what this card pictures is, it's a shattering clock tower behind this little girl in a nice sundress while holding a cat that is screaming and trying to get out of her arms. And the tagline for this is, "The cat knew the truth, but no one would listen to it."
So my next character. Cool. Gotcha.
Yeah, excellent.
Fabulous. In case it is relevant to anyone, there are 5 different foods referenced in the poem. There is cabbage, bread, pepper, vinegar. I mean, I guess if you count an oyster, and butter.
Oh, it's
Only you would have gone to go look that up.
It's vinegar by a mile.
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Because it's walrus and carpenter. Because I immediately started thinking what I would put in that, and then I was like, "What nightmare bullshit can we put in here?" And that is actual wood grain alcohol.
Oh God.
Oh hell
gin,
yeah.
with some sort of preserved fat.
Mm-hmm.
Butter.
And-
The butter's spread too thick. That's a line in the.
Yeah, it's got a butter rim.
Uh-huh.
You know what? I might be grossed out by this, but y'all have forgotten that Gav grew up in Soviet Russia. So line them up, baby. Let's just do
No,
this.
that's not our drinks normal. That's Kyrrie's drink. Our 6 drinks are normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kyrrie gets this nightmare.
Well,
Oh God.
well, normal for you guys in this case is like, you know how a dirty martini is basically you just drink a glass of seawater. It tastes like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, delicious.
Yeah, you have 3 of those lined up. It like the smell coming off of it is very evocatively of a dirty martini, of that seawater smell. But as you guys line them up and just start knocking them back, there is a sense of longing for the sea, for adventure, a love of the sea, if you will, that kind of like is imbued in each shot. And because you have taken 3, you just have each of you the strongest urge to just dunk your head in the river.
All right. Cool. I can roll with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, I think Kyrrie.
Twigg has no compunctions about just doing that. We're right there.
It's also
Twigg's-
true. I mean, Gav wouldn't. We're 2 apostates, and now our dad is 11 years old, so no one can stop us. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's right.
And at which point, like you guys go off to dunk and like,
Yeah, I'm absolutely gonna book it.
yeah,
This is the weirdest morning of my life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go jump in the river.
yeah,
Yeah. Just like I think Twigg. Yeah, is that I feel like there's a mutual kind of like look at each other, and then turn around and just like.
yeah. At which point, like I think both of you have booked it out. Allegra, you are looking at this like
Allegra.
not Allegra, Kyrrie. You are looking at this butter-topped drink with like a strong smell of alcohol. And at which point, the woman behind the bar, she looks at you and just says, "This is what came to mind." And she pushes it forward. And 11-year-old Maurice is just taking the coffee and just... So, how do you think you're different from my Allegra?
Oh, I told you, I'm not Allegra. That's probably the chief difference. She's still regarding this drink with a fair bit of suspicion.
Yeah, I think I realized that he would not have asked that. He said, I think that we'll go ahead and retcon that real quick. He looks at you and just says, instead, so how much older is Allegra than you in your place? In your son? I'm assuming it's another son.
Well, yes, we came from Indigo originally.
Indigo, huh? Always wanted to go.
You've never been?
No, I pretty much grew up in the gold. I think...
Interesting. Did you know your parents? Do you have a memory that far back?
That's the problem, is I can't remember. Everybody talks about the war, but, you know, I think I was older, that's for sure. And then just, they said that the war was over, that there were, you know, basically the actuality had won against the enemy, and I kept getting younger, but I just never remembered anything from before that. And as he's doing this, Duncan is just giving a slight whimper, at which point, it's okay, it's all right. Yeah,
Duncan seems to know you, and you him.
well, yeah, he's a part of my soul. I had him made by my mentor. Well, my mentor made him for me, I should say, investing a piece of myself. But he's not a thought form. I mean, he is a thought form for me, but this one, you're not, are you? At which point you just hear Duncan go, This is all really strange, and I mean, I'm used to change and metamorphosis and rebirth. Honestly, some of the shapes that Gavriel would, wake up as when, she was staying at the flat, that was a lot.
Wow, I don't know what to say. I feel like you have a whole life here, and the Maurice we know, well, if Duncan recognizes you and Duncan has a part of your soul, or Duncan was a part of your soul, then you must be a part of Maurice. If not a version, a facet. And that, of course, fits with the theory of a modality. I mean, insofar as a modality is a copy. Well, not so much a copy as a piece, a facet, I suppose, is the best way to describe it.
And he kind of leans back and sips the coffee a little bit, and pulls from his pocket a very nice looking pipe, which seems to be made of stained glass. Maybe. And he finds a point of light as the sun is beginning to get lower in the sky. Maybe. And as he puts the pipe in front of places it above where your eyes perceive the gold sun, there is this refracted rainbow light that comes down onto the counter in front of you. And as he kind of looks back at you, starts packing the pipe and says, maybe we are refractions of each other. And before you can stop him, this 11-year-old puts the pipe to his lips, strikes a wood match, and begins puffing.
Yeah, Kyrrie's first reaction is definitely to be taken aback by that, but then remembers or recalls, this is Maurice. This is Maurice.
Do you think around this time Twigg and Gav come back from the river soaking wet to sit back down again, as if, and I feel like Gav is doing it totally deadpan, just like walks back in, plonks herself dripping wet into the seat, but just has the expression of like, all right, so where were we? Like nothing strange has occurred.
I think Twigg is plunking down and just kind of reaches down to give a little scritch to Duncan and just is kind of surreptitiously trying to vibe check.
Make me an interaction roll. You may vibe check to your heart's content.
I have one remaining swordledge in that, and that is a 0.
Oh no.
Plus 1.
Okay. Wait. So you did a swordledge? Did you roll 2 dice?
No. I did a bene.
Okay. So yeah, with the bene, thankfully it's not an absolute 0, it's 1, but I think you're just so kind of overwhelmed by how strange all of this is. And that is a big thing to say about life in Satyrine when you are overwhelmed by how strange something is. Or not in Satyrine, in the actuality in this case. And I think that, yeah, just taking all of this in, you're kind of at a loss for, what to make of him. But you realize, I think, with that is that he is studying you. He's studying all of you in some way. And the thing that you do gather is that it's precisely like what is implied by this is precisely what it is he doesn't speak like a child, and if he is a child, he's very wise for his age and has lived beyond his actual age, as it were, or physical age at the very least. This is definitely like Maurice in mannerism, but it's just such a foreign concept.
I think Twigg would like to very surreptitiously look at this multiphasic compass.
Okay. So, the direction for the Elderbrin is an encampment is typically southeast of this point. My question is, what do you want?
Well, that's a complicated question.
It's a question only you can answer.
How specific an answer do you need?
Whatever you want to tell me.
I mean, I think the most pressing thing to Twigg, kind of low key, is this is all fine, but at a fundamental level, they still don't know who they are or why everybody wanted to kill them. And I think who am I is still the most pressing concern, to be perfectly honest.
And I think at this point, who you are, as you ask that question, the arrow was kind of like dipping around wildly for a while, and then it settles back towards Maurice.
Closes the compass, shoves it back in a pocket, and I think is just gonna sit back and observe. I think I don't like this.
And I think that he looks at all of you. So, I mean, you guys sent me out to prepare for our trip to the Elderbrin encampment. I'm presuming we're going to help save some of Gavriel's friends and people.
I'm not your Gavriel.
Save them from what?
The murders, the string of murders that have been occurring, the exsanguination.
Wait.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the book. I think she pulls it out.
Oh, okay. I've seen that before. I guess maybe you guys needed. Well, I mean, Gavriel knew what was up, but since you're not from here, that makes sense. I mean, look, much of the time since that I have spent here since the war or since what happened to me happened, like, I've made so many friends in the Elderbrin community, and I made friends with Gavriel very strongly. She was similarly lost, but at least she had this community to fall back on, and we can't afford to let them be hurt, or we need to have some sort of plan. Do you guys have a plan?
Not as yet. We were tracking some very dangerous individuals. All signs pointed to partially this Elderbrin camp, but it wasn't our main destination. But that doesn't mean that we can't help.
What's your main destination then?
I think Gav looks over at Twigg and Kyrrie like, should we say what it is we're really here to do?
I think Twigg gives a very small but reluctant
We're hunting Vespertine. If any part of you is similar to Maurice, I think you'll understand.
Well, of course we're hunting Vespertine.
All right, well.
Wait, Kesh, what, like, do we need...
Still not that person.
Or at least I hope not.
Well, I'm just...
How about let's go back to that. Kesh is who to you, Maurice?
An incredibly powerful goetic. I mean, you just kind of glommed onto us. You always seemed more like, well, the parent of the group.
Sorry, it sounded like you said parent of the group, and
I mean, what was it? You'd have to be so thorough in order to understand all of the rules of colloquy, to summon and to negotiate the way that you do. I mean, that's at least the Kesh I know.
I mean, I can be nurturing. I think Twigg's lightly offended at everybody else's reaction. I can be nurturing, but yeah, not big on rules, kid.
Well,
Or
you're
baby Maurice, but sorry, Maurice.
So, what is it that you have in common with the Kesh that I'm from? I mean, that is from where I'm from.
They look like me?
I don't think that that's how this works. I mean, yes, don't get me wrong. There are things that look like people that's probably a completely different, like, creature. Is that what you are? Like a shapeshifter?
I mean, the ears are a new development. That was not something I did myself. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit perturbed about it, and I think as they say that, the ears flick a little bit.
And I came into the actuality like this, and Gav gestures to the feathers and the halo.
Yeah, Gav's always just been like that.
I've been like this, yes. Hey.
Look,
Oh, wait.
Yeah?
Oh, circling back, shapeshifters.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, shapeshifters, there are creatures like that exist. We've fought several. Hell, the Elderbrin, I'm kind of curious if you're another Elderbrin that just has Kesh's shape that you're playing with for a moment. I mean...
So wait, Kesh does look like me.
Well, yes. Well, minus the ears.
Well, arguably, Kesh.
Maurice.
Huh.
Are they kind of gray-ish? Kesh?
Well, I mean, they're a lot more formally dressed than this typically, and they are, oh, you mean the hair? Yeah, your hair is typically iron gray. As I understand it, you're actually a lot older than you look. We have a similar problem. Or benefit, I guess.
I think Kyrrie exchanges a look with Twigg.
I think Twigg sees that look and then doubles down with I see your look, but why are you looking at me? I don't, and I would like to remind everybody I have inculpable aura on at all times. because I am a saint and I would never do anything wrong or questionable.
I do think Gav leans forward, missing this moment that you two were sharing, and just says, you were speaking before about the murders with your Elderbrin friends.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Basically, we have an ally, a friend that contacted us to ask for our help. This fellow, Ephanalison. He is the defender of the tribe, one of the tribes at the Elderbrin encampment on the Dolar Sea. He reached out to us because he knew that we were powerful vislae that resided in the Gold Sun and could help.
Well, I may not be in Elderbrin, but it seems either way our purposes are in line. We need information, and if the Vespertine are the source of what is harrowing your friends, well, I see no reason why we can't help.
Well, I'm going to be very clear and honest about this. Regardless of who we are to each other, we've got about this much time to keep going. The sun is starting to get low. If it gets into nightfall, we potentially could be endangering ourselves on the river. So I say that we go ahead, get in the boat, get down there, and whoever we all wake up as are the people that are going to have to deal with this because we can't afford to wait.
What kind of dangers on the river?
There's some wildlife, and it's all strange, of course.
It couldn't possibly be any stranger than finding a second version of you.
Well, in all honesty, with some of the stuff that we've had to deal with, did you know that there is actually somebody that broke themselves apart, and when they reassembled, they take something from you and it could be another body part? That's how this happened. And he holds up a hand and you realize that he has a pinky missing from one of his hands.
Is it the same arm as Maurice's previously tentacles?
It is.
Tentacular arm?
Yeah. You realize that I think as he says this, he has kind of removed a false wooden finger from his hand that has been painted very delicately to look like his own.
Now, I don't know what's going on here, but what if more show up? What do you do at that point?
More what?
I don't know, use.
Well, hopefully we're aligned. I mean, it would be so much better to have more allies. Honestly, if there was another me out there that could help, I'd be so grateful. I mean, it seems like we're at
my other me and they suck. So like, what do you actually plan on doing if more of you show up and you aren't allies? That seems like, no offense, but that's a very, I don't know, that seems like wishful thinking.
And then he holds up a hand, this 11-year-old hand, and looks at you and says, then I call down the thunder. And a crackle of electricity sparks from fingertip to fingertip as he accesses a bit of the sea aggregate.
That's new.
Interesting. In Indigo, Maurice's mentee had that aggregate. The sea, that is.
Huh.
Do you ever remember someone like that?
Well, I remember my cell here. I'm originally from Kadalish. We're a moving city. It tends to kind of ambulate around the central part of the sun, but we have a great number of very talented weavers there. I was very lucky to land where I did.
Perhaps we continue this conversation on your boat so as not to lose time. Your friends are in trouble, aren't they?
Yes, I like this plan.
Well, that is something that at the very least I can get my head around.
Okay.
I leave that to the esoterics amongst us.
Very well.
Yeah, I hate this.
I think before they depart, Kyrrie will take this walrus and the carpenter in hand and go through the looking glass and down it.
It is
Don't
just
summon
so utterly, like the butter just slides down the throat while it kind of coats the throat while the wood grain alcohol kind of burns, but only on the latter part of the consumption of it. At which point all of you make haste to the dock. So it is getting to the point where it is early evening, and you now have an opportunity to take a closer look at Maurice's ship. And you realize that it is, I think that you had originally perceived that there were barnacles on the side, and what you realize is the ship itself is very, very thoroughly barnacled. In fact, it seems to be a mix structurally of coral and barnacles. And it's about the size of a houseboat. You realize there is kind of like a sleeping quarters. There's room for about maybe 4 or 5 people to walk around it comfortably. And so he just kind of hops in and waits for all of you. Says, all right, hop in. I'm going to untie us and we're going to move.
All right. Gav hops in.
I think Kyrrie sort of like lightly steps into the boat, like kind of prances in.
And at which point I think I think Maurice just Gold Maurice says, well, that's not different. And at which point he looks to you, Twigg.
Fuck it. And Twigg will throw themselves onto the boat.
Excellent. As you do this, he quickly unties the knot that was tethering it to the dockside, and then once again kind of weaves something between his hands and then kind of like moves into this kind of wave motion with his arms, and you begin feeling the boat move without any kind of sail or any kind of additional kind of form of locomotion or the need for the use of oars or a motor. And it begins floating gently and then swiftly down the river. And that is where we're going to take our 10-minute break. So guys, you guys find yourself drifting lazily on this ship made of barnacles and coral, drifting not lazily, swiftly down the river. It has been several hours at this point, and you know for a fact that you have at least a journey through the night and the remainder of the day, the next day probably, before you get close to your location of your destination, I should say. So this kind of raises the question of, basically Maurice has been kind of piloting the ship using a weave. In order to kind of continue doing this all night, he will basically have to kind of stay up and do it. For some reason, he has a lot of youthful energy. And at this rate, unless you guys are offering to do anything to assist him, what do you guys do?
I think Gav would be assisting.
Okay. At which point, yeah, I think that basically Maurice has kind of like taken point towards the back half of this houseboat and is just kind of like watching the wake of the ship and kind of like moving the eddies and kind of like also kind of continuing to kind of like almost shove parts of the water behind you while also using it to propel you forward. And you can very easily join him there. How would you like to help, I should say?
I think in any capacity that Gav could, she would need to be instructed. I mean, she's not super familiar with, sailing vessels, but doing something that feels more normal in this crazy happenstance is going to center her a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you are kind of assisting, you're kind of like trying to kind of will your own magic or to try to kind of provide guidance here. Kyrrie and Twigg, what are you guys up to on the other half of the ship?
I think Twigg is kind of sitting off to one side. How low is what's the side of this houseboat thing look like? What are we talking railing? Are we talking just no railing?
I will say that, basically on kind of like early perception, there is a railing that's kind of like off to the side. It is, however, woven out of, once again, you would think it's like, you almost look at it, think it's rusted metal, but again, it's just more coral, like woven together, interwoven with barnacles, forming a grippable rail. And of course, when you're looking at a barnacle or you're looking at coral, you're worried that you're going to cut your hand. But as you kind of put your hand down to grip the rail, it almost seems to just mold around your grip.
Interesting. So yeah, I think Twigg is just leaning out over the water, kind of contemplating what processing a lot of information, just kind of looking into the river as we pass, trying to place all this new knowledge within the limited framework of their own current existing understanding of this bullshit.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I think, no, similarly, I think Kyrrie is also at the back of the boat, probably doing something similar, staring into the water very contemplatively, but like on the opposite side. So if you like look at, if you were to look at a panorama of the scene, you'd have like Twigg and Kyrrie, one on each kind of side of the back of the boat, literally doing the same thing, looking quite contemplatively at the water.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No,
I was
go.
gonna say, as the kind of like the light fades from the water, the last golden rays of this sun begin to fall across the water as the sun sets. Yeah, what are we going to do next, Twigg?
Twigg, I think pulls what surprisingly fresh looking apple out of one pocket and kind of gnaws on it contemplatively. Ooh, that's a hard word to say. And then I think kind of very clearly makes up a decision. Also, yes, I'm a master of the English language. Truly, look upon me, ye mortals. And I'm trying to figure out how to just say despair badly. See, I can't even do it badly. And walks back and just kind of, leans up against the railing next to kind of a short distance away from Kyrrie.
Kyrrie looks up. Nice sunset.
What's it setting from? Or how does...
Which sun? Is that the question you want to ask?
No, I mean, that's the gold sun. But like, what are we actually on if we're not on the sun?
We're in the gold sun.
So how's it setting?
There's a sun setting, but it's...
Which sun is that?
Precisely. Which sun?
I hate this.
Well, you have an apple. At least that should make things somewhat better. I'm surprised to see you eating. I mean, something that isn't a book, that is.
It's a comforting activity. So the description of Kesh sounded pretty familiar to you. It seemed like.
Oh.
Not to be blunt.
Yes. Well, back in the Forest of Elegant Measures, I mean, I think you saw what I saw. I mean, I saw you make this sort of gesture at it, and you looked kind of taken aback. I mean, what I saw, I don't know, a trick of the light, perhaps. I spend too long looking in mirrors, and I shouldn't. Twigg, have you ever changed into someone else? I mean, besides Okris?
No, and I don't think that's a good way to look at what happened. I never changed. I just went away.
Well, I mean, is that what you would call it then? A change, not death.
No, because, I mean, I went to a forest. Unless that's death.
You know, I mean...
Feel like death.
How did you find your way back, Twigg?
That is extraordinarily unclear. There was a couple times where I thought I could hear stuff and it just didn't. I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. I don't know what the fucking rules are. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I don't know any of it.
Twig, make me a resistance roll.
Oh God.
Your difficulty is 10.
Oh God. Well, I have. Is this a mental thing?
This is a mental thing.
Okay, cool. So it still doesn't do anything. I don't think.
You add 2 for the mental shielding.
Yeah, I know. I'm already accounting for that. I'm using sortilege. And I don't think. Yeah, resistance is the one I don't have. So that's 2 9s.
You rolled 2 9s.
No, I rolled 2 7s and I added 2. So that's a 2 7s that we're adding 2 to.
Okay.
So AKA, hit me with your best shot.
Okay. So you are struggling as you are thinking of how you got out of the forest and how you came back. And you vaguely recall walking with someone beside you. Very vaguely. Never saw their face, only heard their voice. But even you can't remember what they said. That is what comes to mind as you struggle in this conversation with Kyrrie.
Oh.
Oh.
I really hate this whole the malleability of everything around us and the memory. Like, I don't understand why none of us can remember anything and why sometimes we remember stuff and sometimes we don't. And sometimes just big pieces of information come crashing out of the sky. And sometimes I can always remember what I ate for breakfast, but it sometimes is just like, why can't I remember all this other stuff? Anyways, I think I walked out of the forest, that is, and there was someone with me.
Oh. Someone, like a presence?
This is the first time I'm remembering this, and which is disconcerting, but also it's an empty forest, you know? It's not rife with life. It's not thriving. It's the idea of a forest. I remember being really alone. And so I don't know what that was or who that was.
I think Kyrrie looks down at the water, and I think she maintains eye contact with the water as she says, well, I called you home. I mean, or at least perhaps that's what you heard. You were so very far away.
Is that... I don't understand the rules for this. It feels like I got thrown into this, and sometimes a few weeks feels like years, and sometimes years feels like just a couple weeks, and none of the rules make sense, but everything still feels right. And it should, or even when it does make sense, it shouldn't make sense. Thanks for calling me back, I guess.
I don't know if that's what I did. I don't know if it was intentional. I was there with Fix-Up, and your garden, anyway. I mean, you have to understand, from my perspective, you were there, and then you weren't. We had come out of the war report, and you collapsed, and then you were someone else. You were Ogress.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm looking for answers as much as you are. I don't I want to say that I understand what's going on, and now we're running into baby Maurice. Like, what's up with that? But seriously, like, how many of us could there be running around here? And is Kesh me? Is the other Gav really Gav? Like, doesn't that concern anyone?
I mean, modalities are, well, from what I know of them, from my sort of baseline gen ed course, they are real. I mean, a modality is a part of the construction or the person, but there's a reason they can't coexist. It's because of that reality.
Well, why are you so sure that they're modalities and we're not modalities?
Well, I mean, Maurice isn't here. Our Maurice. We wouldn't be able to coexist with our modalities.
Well, maybe the kid popped out of the real world, and our Maurice got slurped into that place. Like, what? How do we know it's real? Like, what? Honestly, real question. What's real? Like this.
Twigg.
Nothing makes sense.
How does Twigg look at the moment?
Oh my God, the fucking cat ears. I keep forgetting about the goddamn cat ears. Cat ears are doing sad cat ears. Like a little bit pinned back to a little bit down. And I think Twigg is just like kind of going between like kind of like every time they turn away from the rail, I feel like it's a lot of like with apple in one hand and then just like going back to leaning against the rail and then like kind of seeming to draw strength, and then like they seem a little not unhinged but a little untethered.
They seem healthy, probably.
Pretty health. This is probably the most like, yeah, like not mentally, but like physically, they definitely look. I think this is the best they've ever looked. Not dying has some effect.
Could you look at me for a second?
Yeah.
You died. I was there. I mean, you call it the change, you call it going into a forest, but you were there on the floor and you were bleeding out, and then you weren't. I mean, all of this after you, a Logivore, were subsumed into a living text, and now you're immediately thrown back into the fray, but you were gone. And there was time that we didn't have you.
Yeah. From everything I've seen of Okris, that must have been hard. They're not very people-y.
Yeah, I don't think I made the best impression on them, all things considered.
What'd you do?
Well, to be honest, I think they thought that they took you over. Like, they subsumed you. Like, they got to exist because you were gone, or because you were dead, because you weren't there.
I don't know, maybe. Like, I feel alive. In fact, I feel way better than I have in a hot minute. Like, it's so strange. It's like feels like so recently I was in the gray, and I remember the gray. The gray still kind of feels real. It smells wrong, but it still felt more real than a lot of this. And that next thing I know, I'm getting shot in the head by a demon bullet or some fucking goetic nonsense. And then I'm there, and then all of you found me, and because the Blue Sun Warden was just like, hey, go find this idiot, and then I'm the idiot, and like, my understanding is when you die, you go to the Pale, right?
I suppose it depends on what you mean by death. I mean, our gray perception of death is very different. It's not that well, I guess it depends on what you think about an afterlife in the gray, but here, yeah, it's a pipeline to the Pale, but haven't you ever wondered if that's not all death is? If even here there's like a permanence, like some sort of, I don't know,
Oh, I'm sure there's a permanence. I know, like, I backseated a lot of ends with during the war report. I'm not clear on what makes it permanent, though. Like, because I mean, we know that people died. Like, the heroes of the war are now they're in the gray now. But I don't think that's death. I don't think that's an end. I think that's a step. I don't even think that's what I did. Like, I felt like I had the world's shittiest nap. Like a really long, shitty nap, and to everybody else, and then somebody got to walk around in this body, and I don't know what to do if it happens again.
I don't either. I mean, it's never happened to you before, as far as you know. Okris intimated that they could talk to you. They just wouldn't let me. Trust me, I tried.
I remember that's true. I think that was true, because I remember they reached out, or they did something. They intruded, and they wanted something, and but I don't think that actually happened to me. That happened to the memory of me in the war report, which it's like getting a feedback loop. It's a memory of a person that I never was, or what was once, but I'm not any longer. Or maybe I am, and I just don't. I hate this.
We'll figure it out, okay? I mean, you have Gav and some version of Maurice, and me. I mean, you're not alone in this. I mean, none of us know this any better than you, but we'll help you figure it out. And for what it's worth, I think she looks up from the water. I'm glad you're you again.
Wow. I think I am too. Thank you.
The house is overgrown, by the way. Still standing.
Yeah. What about the tree?
Fix up? The silver tree. Huge. It's really imposing now.
I'm sure that's not going to be a problem later.
Well,
but fix-up's okay?
You should see them. They're so big now. It's so green and alive. It reminded me of you.
I want to go back.
You should. Oh, and before I forget, And I think she reaches deep into one of her like side pockets and pulls out literal and the origami crane.
And
They missed you too.
at which point, I think literally, almost like in a tally-ho motion, Literalum, whilst riding the paper crane, soars and then dives into your pocket, Twig. And then before kind of both of them kind of surface and kind of like, I think the crane starts kind of like looking around. And yeah, Literalum, actually, as they have like dived into your pocket, there's one thing you notice, which is Literalum was originally like a small, kind of almost like a small kind of Bible or illustrated manuscript page about this big, like A6 or something like that. He's now about the size of,
For all you typography nerds out there.
yeah, he's now about the size of a full zine.
Growing up into a little story of his own. My heart.
So,
I think,
yeah,
Twig is just like absolutely like, just kind of very distracted by this reunion and is using, I think, very willfully not thinking about the implications of Kesh existing.
And as you are kind of like having this reunion, you hear the buzzing of a bulb turning on, like kind of like an old halogen bulb going as if like kind of being switched on in, you know, a rickety old house. And then you hear it a multitude of times as a soft glow begins to bathe all of you. You hear them, that sound spread throughout the river, and the glow becomes stronger, and you realize that the entire river is alight with fireflies. At least that's what you think they are. But as you take a closer look, you realize it's not like a thorax or an abdomen that is projecting the light phosphorescently or through biofluorescence. It's an actual very small halogen bulb that seems to be growing out of these kind of insectile creatures. And the light is bathed with an etheric glow. And Gabrielle, as you are kind of sitting in the kind of like beside or kind of standing with the young Maurice, you just hear him say, "Oh, the etheric glow bugs. They're lighting up now."
I feel like every time I have a handle on how things are in these suns, something has to come along and completely shatter my sense of normalcy.
Oh, I just learned long ago to adapt to change. For good or for ill.
I feel everyone is better suited to that than I've been, but what do I know?
Well, why do you think that is?
Nature. You're handling this a lot better than I think I would if I was in your position.
Well, I'm actually kind of curious. Do you think that the other me would have handled it just as well?
I think he wouldn't be able to stop himself from asking you so many questions. You'd never be able to shut him up.
And the worst thing is I just want to ask you so many questions about who he is. So maybe we do have that in common.
Well, I can tell you that he's a good man. He tries to do the right thing and be right by everybody that he comes across. And that's a rare skill.
Well, that gives me hope. For what it's worth, I I adore Gabrielle's friendship. My Gabrielle's. I remember that she was one of the first friends that I made here when I remembered, or not remembered, but found myself wanting to remember who I was. We helped each other. She helped me get lodging. I met the Elderbrin through her, and I think, God, Kesh and Allegra followed suit soon after. But I always felt like Gabrielle was the most... She was always propelling us forward, always making sure that we were doing right by the people that needed help, and that we were just making sure not to let our analysis or our inaction lead to spent lives.
In my world, like, it's not as if the worlds are different. It's hard to explain, but it's funny how the story is the opposite. Maurice was the first person that I met when I came to Saturn. And I had to stay with him until I was able to figure out my way around the city. And through him, I met Twigg and Kyrrie. But this Gav feels like somebody that I would... I'd like to know them.
I think you'd get along. I can imagine... I can't imagine nothing but I think between the two of you, a pile of Vespertine would be a real cemented and friendship starter.
Well, that is certainly someone I'd like to know, but they'll tell you, making friends, not very easy for me.
But you do so much. How could it not be? These people, you help them, right?
That's not the same thing. When you've been in as many battles as I have and as many wars, you don't make friends. You don't. I've given up a life in the grey, and I've traded one war for another. And through the magic of this place, I was able to relive a war that started everything here. I am bred for this. It's the reason I'm here. I think it's the reason that I was put where I was in the grey. I have been trained to fight since I was very young. When you watch people die, and that's all you know, you don't make friends. You have comrades, you have brothers in arms, and you try not to let them get too close. And that doesn't mean you don't help people. But that is the way that it is.
So, let's say we kill all of the Vespertine. We make them pay for whatever they've done, for everything they've done. What happens next? What do you do?
I don't know. My imagination doesn't carry that far. It can't afford to. I leave that for the people that will come in my wake. They can live a life that is hopefully free of any adversity or oppression or struggle, and I hope they never have to make the choices that we will make. I hope they get to make friends.
You already have. I think. Strongly. I mean, it's early in our relationship, but I'm happy that I've met you. I'd be happy to say that I was your friend.
You know, you really are just Maurice. Only he gets me to talk like this.
Must be somebody real special, huh?
You would know. If I can help the people that matter to you in this life, then I'll be glad to do it.
Good. Thank you. I'm trying to do what we can. Make sure that nobody's in danger, but I have to confess to you. There's something about this. It's just been weighing on me in my chest. I feel like something big is coming. Something bad. If one of us doesn't make it, you have to make sure that whoever survives, if it's me or him, or some other version of us someplace else, they have to carry on the fight. I think we're the only ones that know that this matters.
I understand. And if something similar should happen to me, then find this other Gabrielle and tell them the same thing.
I pity whoever would dare try to get in her way.
Spare your pity. They don't deserve it. And she gives him a wink.
And this kid who is wise beyond his years and yet so childlike, so Maurice-like, returns the wink. And you all settle in for the night. So, as you are settling in, are you guys setting a watch? Are you sleeping in shifts?
Gav is this is old school, baby. We gotta have a watch. We just got told there's danger on the river at night, and also we're going into an active potential Vespertine investigation zone. So
okay,
watches all around.
All right. So I would like who is taking first watch? Okay. I would like Gabrielle for you to make me a perception roll. Your target for this is going to be 7.
Okay, realized I was muted while I clicked away. So perception, I'm gonna pop a bene into that. Oh, rolled a 9, so that'll be a 10.
As you are traversing the river, you see something, kind of a flash of movement in the shaded banks around surrounding the river, where I think what happens is one of these etheric glow bugs is you see it suddenly flash, and you see a very lean, kind of almost feline form traverse the treetops. It
doesn't look threatening to us. I'm just sort of watching an animal do its thing.
It seems to be keeping pace with the boat.
I'm gonna bust out the rifle just to take a better look at it through the scope.
Okay. I think in this case what this is an accuracy roll to see if you can keep a consistent sight on it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to shoot at it yet. I don't want to... I'm trying to understand if I'm just watching an animal be an animal or if this looks more like a creature with some measure of intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely.
So accuracy. May I also do another bene for that?
You may. And remember, I think you have +2 to your roll to...
Oh, is my apprentice still up?
Well, what was that? I think so, actually. Yeah, the apprentice is still up, and
Oh,
also,
yeah. Well, then, yes, I do.
also, I think the Sainted Sniper Rifle gives you a bonus.
That's right. Oh, man, this is going to be... You know what? I won't put an accuracy in that. This feels like a lot.
Okay.
That's going to be... So the apprentice gives me what, +1?
Yeah, just +1 for now.
And then the Sainted Sniper Rifle gives me another 1?
Another 2.
Another 2.
So I think you need a 3
I gotta
or
remember to
above.
write down the new one.
Yeah, you need a 3
I
or
don't think I
above on
actually
this
have
to kind of keep pace with it.
5.
Okay, so describe this for me. Do you send the halo out? Or do you just kind of like follow it?
Is sending the halo out something I would do if I was about to shoot it? Now, I haven't used my new sniper rifle yet, so forgive the questions, but
You can utterly...
can I do that just to improve the accuracy of just looking down the scope, or do I only do that if I'm about to make a shot?
No, you can sight it,
Oh,
basically.
okay.
You
Well,
can
then
just
sure.
like track
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So describe what this looks as the halo flies out to sight your target.
I think Gav pulls out the rifle and she's like looking down the sights, and the halo just starts like actively spinning a little faster and faster before it kind of, I think it shoots down her arm as she's like extending the rifle, and it sort of moves with the motion of the gun.
Nice. Okay. As you follow the halo, it illuminates the area where you saw this creature, and you see it just kind of like keep pace with it now. The creature, almost kind of like surprised, almost kind of wheels back into a defensive posture. This creature is very much a jaguar, or at least something that you would anticipate a jaguar looking like in the actuality, with the exception that it seems to have a massive bushy white beard around its kind of snout.
It's
Okay.
Santa Claus.
Oh no.
At this
No.
at thi-
No.
at-
No, we have to end
no
the stream.
we got 30 more minutes.
No. No, that was terrible.
It's here to bring us presents and not murder us.
All right, I'm gonna basically, I think, while you are sighting here, and Maurice is staying up the night to help you,
Okay.
I have drawn a card for his perception,
No, nice.
which is a raven, which is the companion of secrets, ravens, books, and flame. Meanings are jealousy, sight, and trickery. Companion to the secrets family, the raven sees everything and tells nothing. The sights seen by the too many eyes of the raven are beyond anyone else's ability to cope. So what happens, I think, is as this thing illuminates and it reacts defensively, you see Maurice stop moving the boat and said, "It's a bearded malkin. Hold on." And it begins kind of shifting in such a way and beginning to kind of pull a weave together, at which point the boat shifts over to one side of the river where the far side away from the creature that's tracking you, and he forces up what looks to be a spout of water to basically spray this thing in the face. As he does so, it makes a yowling hiss and bounds away into the canopy. And he looks at you and he says, "Bearded malkins, look, relatively harmless, but if you catch them while they're feeding on dreams, you can get hurt. They only want the dreams, but at the same time, still dangerous."
Noted. Next time I see it, I'll shoot rather than just observe.
I don't think that's necessary, but you can just spook them. Okay? And he continues, once again, corrects the course of the boat. And you guys continue the rest of your watch. Second watch. Who's up?
Is there a chimney on the houseboat?
No, there's no chimney.
Okay.
I've never heard Zach sound that threatening before.
Then I woke
I
up
mean,
at home.
yes, in character, but never to a player. Woo!
I'll stand for none of this malarkey.
Hey, don't bring malarkey into this. If you bring it in there, then we have to make an NPC, and it's a whole thing.
All right, fair enough. All right.
I will take second watch. Twig will take second watch.
Cool.
Twig knows none of this. Twig was asleep. Twig has been dreaming of stuff that isn't sugar plums.
Okay. You know what? I think that I would like you to make this is going to be a withstand roll, because I think you've been through a lot.
That's fair.
And I think you've been up for a while, and a lot of this is really overwhelming.
Yeah, it is.
I'd like you to make me a withstand roll to see if you can just stay awake.
Oh, is that the one thing I don't have any? Yeah, I have dodge. I've got dodge. We've got resist. We've got.
You can dodge for days.
I can dodge for days, baby.
But you know what you know what you can't dodge? Person in the mirror, right there. Yeah.
Honestly, too real.
But actually, Twig can and has, in fact, dodged that person in the mirror multiple times.
Very true. Very true.
So, the player, too real for me. Haha, fuck you. From my character.
Asking them to change their ways. Yeah, go ahead.
And you gave me shit. All right, well, I have no sortilege left. I have no well, I guess I'm just rolling straight.
Okay.
I think. Hope this doesn't give me anguish, because then I'll just die. That is a 7 on the dice, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think I have anything else. Yeah, that's it.
You easily fight off the urge to kind of go to sleep. I think, where does this kind of well of strength and kind of alertness come from?
I think. I don't know that it's quite communicating with literal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think asking him, have we decided literalum's a him?
Your choice. And that's
I feel like we've been using him pronouns for literalum. So yeah, literalum. I think Twig wants to know how he's been doing. How it was when they were gone.
And in an elaborate script, very lovingly crafted, almost like it's out of a Hallmark card, appears the ink saying, "We missed you."
Emotional damage. And I think that Twig thinks a lot about that.
Cool.
Because it's kind of one of those things where you can deflect and you can run around and you can rationalize a lot of statements, but when something is as simple and as blunt force as that, I think that that's what keeps Twig awake at night.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Okay. Is there anything else that you think about while you're on your watch?
Yeah, who this modality is, if that's what this is.
So make me I think that this can be an intellect roll, or it can be an informal magical knowledge roll. What are you kind of searching for yourself for?
I think it's just kind of like Twig's experience has been a lot of like scraping away at this emptiness, but it's not really emptiness. It's more like this lack of memory, but the memories are there. They're just buried under something, or they're accessible in certain circumstances, but the rules are unclear. I think it's basically Twig just doing a lot of like, come on, fuck. Like thinking really hard, which sounds dumb, but like literally just thinking really hard and just kind of like just trying to go through like, okay, we're gonna rationalize our way through this. and think about each step of all of these things. What did Okrist remember anything? I would argue that I think this is a magical lore. I don't think this is intellect.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to, if I could use a point of hidden knowledge.
Absolutely. You tell me how this is a knowledge of yourself.
I think this is literally chipping away at the. I think this is being inspired by what we heard from the Starling, which is that you can figure out the shapes of memories by the holes that they leave behind.
Love that. Okay, so this is how this is going to work. Okay. One thing I'm also going to offer to you is, are there any ephemera items you think might be able to help you?
Oh, there really is. Oh, there really is. I forgot about that. I was saving that for, a situation exactly like this. And this is super appropriate for being on watch late at night. I have an ephemera item called The Hour is Thin.
Mm-hmm.
It is a level 5. Its color is indigo. A person you touch will make a remarkable discovery in the next few hours. They will gain the answer to a question they ask or succeed in an intellect-based action relating to knowledge or discovery.
Okay. That seems pretty appropriate. So, if you want to use the ephemera item, add its level to your roll. And then I am going to turn a card, see if it gets colored in any way, shape, or form. Let's start with that as your baseline and tell me what you get.
Okay, so I will be rolling. Am I also using hidden knowledge or no?
Yes, add your hidden knowledge as well. So you're starting with 6.
Actually 8.
Okay.
Because my magical lore is 2.
All right.
And that's a 7 on the dice. So that'll be a 15. Thank you. Take 15 for 500.
If you had gotten anything less than a 13, this would not happen. And if I had gotten any other card other than the Crowded Tomb, which its color is pale, and it weakens green. Its family is the family of secrets. Its meanings are endings, despair, and completion. The tomb lies at the end of all stories, the reward for the greatest monarch and the lowliest beggar. Of course, the tomb is crowded. It grows more crowded each day. Mourners crowd around the tomb, but it is even more crowded within. So many deaths, so many endings. Crowded Tomb is a location card of the Secrets family and thus represents a permanence or is related to a physical place. This means that the finality that it represents probably occurs in a specific and significant location. The Crowded Tomb is an ending, not necessarily a sudden ending, an ending that you know full well is coming, whether you acknowledge it or not. It might just mean that a task is finished. It doesn't always need to be sad. Everything needs to end sometime. But there is an air of despair to this card, not outright misery perhaps, but a lingering sadness, a mourning. In game narrative terms, someone dies, something ends, an NPC is filled with sadness. For joy, something harmful to the PC comes to an end. An opponent or obstacle for the PC dies or is gripped with debilitating despair. Despair, someone significant to the PC dies, something created by the PC is destroyed or otherwise comes to an end. The silence grows more crowded and yet remains silent. Okay.
Also, for the record, secrets is that's Twigg. That's the most. I didn't realize there was a card that was both of these assholes.
Yeah. So, describe for me the question that you ask of the universe.
Oh. Spent a lot of time asking who I am. That's been fruitless. And now there's a modality thing, maybe. What am I?
And from deep inside you, a confident, vital voice speaks in response. You are what was shaped by King Nine's hand. You are my punishment. And I am so grateful that you and your counterpart have allowed me to recover myself. I am Kesh, called Kestrel.
Hey, what the fuck? That's in character.
What the fuck indeed, my friend. I've been dead for a very long time, and something that that you and your friends have done, I am revitalized. I am grateful. And I would see you rewarded for that.
Okay. Why are you inside me?
Technically, you are inside me. In the body that King Nine hollowed out.
That's upsetting, and we'll circle back to that. What do you want?
I want what you want, to be made whole. To live a life unfettered and unbound and not passing on borrowed time any longer. Which I know is what you have. I've been in the back seat for a very long time. I haven't been able to drive. But I have been party to your many trials, your tribulations, your successes, your failures.
So, you're real, and I'm going to take this on faith, not really faith, but that's whatever. Does that, and Maurice, is that Maurice real? What
do you mean?
Am I real?
You're very real.
I feel real.
Why do you think your reality is in doubt?
Because we just met somebody who knows you.
Well, they know a version of me. A modality. We are just as real, one after the other. Trust me.
So I'm Okris too. We're both outliers then. We're not actually.
You are spirits. Conceptual spirits. Spirit of beginnings and a spirit of endings. You were forced into my form.
What do I do with that?
I didn't anticipate that you would need to do anything with it. I summoned you. I summoned Okris. I am a powerful goetic, or at least I once was. And often, I would perform colloquies to enlist your services in the needs of people like King Nine and people with less, it turns out, nefarious purposes.
Okay.
I have worked for angels, I have worked for demons, I have walked both the left and the right-handed paths.
You're who the warden remembered.
I assume so. Secretan the Austere, I remember as well. A formidable force, that one.
So what are you doing now?
Well,
You know, besides hanging out and here.
well, in all honesty, I was dispatched by King Nine. But something in what all of you have done in your trials and travails has granted in me a reprieve from death. Perhaps it is the artifact that rests in your companion's chest that has granted me this second chance.
Talking about I assume, though, honestly, with this fucking place and everything, I assume you're talking about the halo.
I'm talking about the seed. On the other hand, however,
Yeah, that.
you are becoming a much more formidable power of creation, where once before you only consumed my gift. Now you create burgeoning life. And perhaps that's the means by which I have been brought back.
Wow. That's, okay. Okay. This is fine. I can work with this. Twigg begins to have a mental crisis. Okay. So you're just gonna be here now, huh?
I don't have a choice, but...
Do
Hmm?
I need to go? Can I?
Well,
I don't want to be like I should go now, but
tell me, Twigg. What do you want? What would make you whole? What would make you happy?
I just want to be.
And you shall. We can help each other.
Okay.
I will say this. I think that your friend, the Vance, Kyrrie, she wants to help you. She wants to undo some of the damage that was incurred when you reached out into the actuality and grabbed hold of something dangerous.
That being what?
Something, it felt like a slap across the face, but as if it pierced through your entire being in so doing. It's what makes you weaker physically now.
I assumed it was the missing hearts. What?
No, that was just a trick that I think that you may have pulled before basically forcing the transition from Okris into your possession, your power. For you forced yourself into the driver's seat, as it were.
Oh, shit. Okay. I gotta think about this. I'm not gonna lie, like, this is really weird.
Well, I'm here to help. Whatever I can do. I don't like this any more than you do.
That I believe.
Let me ask you, what is your overall feeling about this, this person that's talking to you?
Well, bone deep distrust.
Bone deep distrust?
Yeah. in general, when things start talking to me inside my head, it goes badly.
Would you say that that feeling radiates out?
I think Twigg is trying very, very hard to not let anything out.
All right. So this is what I'm going to need you to do. This one is for all the marbles.
No.
I need you to make an interaction roll. Try to basically deceive Kesh.
I have no remaining interaction, Benet. My vast pool of 2 has been fully depleted.
Can you use Sortilege to just give you an extra dice?
Yeah, I mean, nope. My vast pool of 3 sortilege has also been depleted. So this is a straight roll, which I'm guessing is not going to do the trick when you got somebody inside your.
Do you get a bonus because of the mental?
Oh yeah, do I get a bonus from my roach goblin of mind shielding?
I will grant you. You know what? I'll grant you the full bonus. I'll give you 2.
Okay.
And
turns out lying to somebody who's in your head is really hard.
At which point you just hear, "Oh, more's the pity." And I need you to make a level 10 resistance roll.
Cool. No doubt. I can theoretically do that.
I will tell you this. If you would like, you can try to draw on. I will give you a consequence. Which, and guys, veto this if we feel like this is not a good idea. I will give you an enhancement if you want to try to draw on Okris's strength.
How much risk is, I guess?
You will roll an
scared.
experimental die.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that, though I said that last time, and yeah, I'll take that enhancement.
Okay.
Is that everybody cool with that?
Is everybody okay?
I have a feeling that I basically have to get, right now I have to get an 8 or higher. Otherwise, I'm a little bit scared about what you're about to do to me, Zach. I don't like that. I don't like any of this.
Hammer's got to fall. Let's see what happens.
Relevant. Okay, so I'll be rolling with a +3 total.
Yeah.
Fuck you, that's a 7. That's a 10 total.
You feel something pull against your mind, and you realize that he is, or whoever this is, that they rather are trying to eat the memory of your conversation.
Oh no. Oh. The fuck?
You say that?
Yeah. Excuse me. Excuse the fuck?
Do you say that out loud?
I think quite loudly at this point.
At which point you just hear, well, I guess we're stuck with each other then. And that presence disappears. You feel it leave.
This is fine. You know, if you say something enough times, it just becomes true.
So, we're going to cut to Kyrrie's side of the boat. Kyrrie. I was actually going to say, this is... Kyrrie, are you able to sleep? Are you, like, what's going on your side? Were you sleeping restfully when you heard, fuck?
It was, just to be very clear, it was the fuck.
The fuck.
I think so. I think Kyrrie startles awake, knowing that she's the last to take watch. And I think, yeah, like is if she goes and looks for Twigg, is Twigg still there, or is Twigg retired?
Twigg is absolutely still just, I think, honestly, not super far from where we had our prior conversation. I've been mentally picturing them leaning up against this railing, just gripping in, while this internal dialogue was going on.
I think Kyrrie hurries over to you. Twigg, you're the color of snow. Are you all right?
Technically, yes.
What happened? Are you hurt?
So I'm going to say a bunch of stuff, and I need you to not ask questions throughout the process. And honestly, I think you should go get Gav and the baby Maurice.
Oh.
Right after, okay?
Okay.
So I was thinking really hard.
Dangerous for you.
Yeah. Get the jokes out now, because it's about to be a lot less funny. I was thinking really hard, and something said hello, and then introduced themselves as Kesh, aka Kestrel, and apparently this is their body. King Nine killed them or whatever, and I'm not a real person, and neither is Okris. We're spirits that have been jammed into this dumb body as a punishment. Unclear. I was freaking out a little bit, and then once I got a little stressed out about it and wasn't super cool with this, they tried to eat my memory of the conversation, and they're still here. I assume they can hear everything. This is fine.
So you're in danger.
Probably. I assume I'm a danger.
Oh, I wouldn't put it quite like that. Part of you is a danger and part of you is in danger, and it's all cycling between those things. Twigg, I should tell you something.
Yeah.
About Kesh. But I don't know how I'm...
Wait, what do you know?
I didn't mean to know it. It just... In the Forest of Elegant Measures, it's about what Kesh is. I don't have a frame of reference for this, but I think it's important that you know. Even if Kesh hears it, even if Kesh knows that I told you. Twigg, Kesh is a vampire.
Like, yeah.
Insofar as I know, I mean, my point of reference for vampires is Dracula, the 1930s movie. But I don't think it's that kind.
I get the feeling this is a lot worse.
I don't know very much about them, not what they are here, but it's not good.
Yeah, that tracks. That honestly, that tracks with the whole fucking day. Vampire. Okay, so they're a goetic vampire that can eat people's memories and apparently piss King Nine off enough that King Nine...
Wait, King Nine?
Hollowed out. Yeah. Did I not mention that bit? Yeah. King Nine hollowed out this body, whatever the fuck that means, and jammed, I don't know, just kept pouring things in there until... Bleh.
King Nine did this to you.
I assume? I don't remember. But also, I don't trust anything that asshole says. And you see Twigs like kind of like points down into the side and then kind of looks down into the side and it's like, you know what I mean.
Yes,
Oh, this is bad.
you could say that. They are this Kesh. I don't know what to make of what you've just told me. I don't know what to make of the fact that, according to the young Maurice, Kesh and Allegra knew one another. Is that just here? Is that real?
Also, Kesh was... Maurice said Kesh... Oh. Fuck.
What?
Zach, Twig's got perfect recall, or do they?
Yeah.
Do they, Zach? I don't know.
Well, I will tell
I
you.
can't trust my own goddamn character sheet.
Are you asking for another resistance roll?
No, I am not.
I will tell you this.
We should.
I'll tell you this.
I'm trying to remember what Hopper the player is trying to remember exactly what baby Maurice said about Kesh. And it was something vaguely menacing.
I will say this. I think that attempt has exhausted their efforts for now. So what has happened is that I think you are able to remember, which is that Kesh is a powerful goetic in the Gold Sun, who is kind of like a parent to this group that basically helps and assists them. He's
Powerful goetic.
They're kind of like the Maurice equivalent.
So those are two things. So goetic, Maurice says they're goetic, and Kesh, aka Castrol, said they're a goetic.
Mm-hmm. So there are some things between these kind of modalities that are the same, and there are some that are different. What you don't know is what this Golden Sun's forte is, or their background, or something along those lines.
Well, I know what this one's forte is. It's eating my fucking memories.
Yeah.
It's really rude when it's done to you. I do recognize that.
Shoes on the other foot, my friend. How the turns tables.
Okay. Twig, Twig is just like, okay. Fuck.
Look,
I don't know what to do.
I'm going to get Gav and the young Maurice, but hey, look, what I said before is just as true. We will get through this, all of us together. And you know what? This is danger. It's different. None of us know what we're doing. But if this is a threat to you, we're going to fight it. And it better be listening, and it better be ready.
As you hear Kyrrie say this, in the back of your mind, Twig, you just hear a soft chuckle. And that is where we're going to end tonight's episode.
Cool.
Guys, fun episode tonight. I'm very sad that Bill couldn't make it, but I think he's gonna really enjoy watching all of this. So with that in mind, character summaries. Gavriel, joy, despair, character arcs.
You sure? I feel like you need to get me off the air before I keep making more memes.
Please.
I'm actually gonna take a despair. I know nothing like terrible happened to Gav, but that conversation, I think, was like revealing in not a great way. And I think it put a couple of things into perspective that she doesn't necessarily enjoy talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason alone, I'm going to do despair.
Okay. Take 1 despair, and then at the same time, I think just tracking down, keeping pace with Duncan, and then just eliciting these insights from Gold Maurice is going to give you another acumen. Did you complete any character arcs?
I did not.
Cool. Twigg. Despair, right? I'm gonna say it's despair.
What happens when you jam the despair button like 20 or 30 times?
Well, it just gets stuck like that, and it outputs like a mega despair.
Yes, I would like to. 1 mega despair, please. Supersize that shit.
Let me ask you: do you think that you completed any character arcs?
Yeah, actually, there's an argument there. Hang on. Well, I don't know. I definitely went down a step on the Who Am I arc.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you even
I don't know if I actually know who I am, but I don't know if that might actually be complete. I don't know. So that's a you question, Zach.
I think that you have a very keen understanding now of who you were and how you came to be, and who you are now. You are experiencing and learning. So I think that we can actually complete this character arc.
Holy shit. I don't think I've actually completed a character arc yet, so
yeah. So
I don't know what that does, and Bill's not here to tell me. So
you get to receive 2 acumen in addition to the 1 normal acumen award for your play today, which in this case was, doing this inspired move of reaching down deep to have this momentous conversation and finding out, who you are. So you have 3 total acumen, but I would like you to spend 1 acumen on the next character arc that you want to undertake.
Okay.
Cool. So, moving along, Kyrrie, joy, despair, character arcs.
Despair, I think, but with a tinge of determination. I mean, I think after that scene with Twigg and kind of coming to terms with the fact that, like, she had to process Twigg's death, and now Twigg is back. Now Twigg is in danger again, just after returning. And no, that's not going to fly. That's not something she's going to allow. I think this Kesh is something she doesn't know much about, but something she feels she can fight, particularly if King 9 is the creator, or I guess the binder of this entity. It's interesting. I think it's a despair, but I think Kyrie's ready for a fight.
Awesome. I think take 1 acumen for this heart to heart, and take 1 despair for realizing the magnitude of what went into Twigg's creation. My curiosity is, did you complete any character arcs as well?
No, I think not at the moment. But we're getting there, slowly but surely.
Cool. So everybody, let's start back at the top now, because we're going to do some shout outs and plugs. Marcy, you want to start first?
Sure. Well, I've got an obvious one. For any of you that are still watching us as we wrap things up, you do need to come back to this channel tomorrow at 8 p.m. because we are going to be premiering, and by we I do mean both Manapod Studios as a whole. And if you're not sick of myself or Hopper just yet, we will be co-starring in that along with Pooja and Maddie with our wonderful GM David. We are going to be bringing the long-form version of our fan favorite Escape from Arkham that you have seen multiple times over at Flights of Fandom. It's coming to a long-form version under the name Streets of Gotham, Monday night, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I couldn't be more excited for you guys to join us in watching that. It's going to be fantastic. And by fantastic, I really can't wait to get hurt multiple times now every other Monday. It's going to be great. So we have that. And then we've got a real lineup for you now that I'm saying it out loud. And then Tuesday, yes, this Tuesday, we'll have the third episode of our BioShock Cypher game for Flights of Fandom that I have been GMing for the very first time. And it's been a lot of fun, and you can come and you can watch Marissa freak out every time I bring in a canon character. So yeah, we'll be doing our penultimate episode on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a real doozy. I can promise you that. And yeah, there's so much stuff that's happening on the Manapot channel this summer. Keep your eye on our calendar, hang out in our Discord, be watching all of the backlog of our videos on YouTube. And if you ever want to game with us, get in touch with us. We would love to play with you.
Awesome. Hopper, shout outs, plugs.
I'm just screaming right now. Internally. It's fine. Yeah, definitely swing through tomorrow on Flights of Fandom. I almost said Flandom. Shit, I want tiramisu. But oh, my brain is all a tizzy. Anyways, swing by tomorrow on Flights of Fandom. I am going to lose my fucking mind. This is going to be a very couple intense days of gaming, and my body is ready. My mind is not, but my body's ready. And also, I'd like to throw a quick shout out to Jeff Stormer, Party of One podcast, and all my fantasy children. Any award-winning game writer and blah, blah, blah. Jeff Stormer, he's awesome. You should check out everything he does, which includes hanging out with us over on Flights of Fandom now, which is dope. Catch the VOD if you want to hear me and Bill, who is sadly not here tonight, as well as I think Zach and Ned, though I think you're not. Are you in the other Tuesday thing, Zach? I can't keep track.
I am. I'm not
Gloomhaven.
I am in Gloomhaven. I'm not in Dark Visions.
No. Oh yeah. No, you're not in Dark Visions, but Dark Visions is never Tuesdays because I'm usually busy on this channel. But we're squeezing in some Gloomhaven over on the Legend Tree, swing through the VOD. You should watch these assholes do BioShock. It's much cooler. But you should hit the follow button so I can get affiliate
Just keep
status.
2 tabs open, LR Split Your Brain, and watch both.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But actually do keep 2 tabs open.
But actually do that. Yes.
Because there shouldn't be an issue.
But we're just being funny and playing Gloomhaven. I believe for the next 2 Tuesdays, and then I have I think my next thing isn't until the beginning of July, which is fucking wild. I think that's right. But yeah. I don't know, keep an eyeball on the Legend Tree. I'm trying to make things happen, and I'm very excited about them. And some of them are definitely going to involve tiny rat people shrilly shrieking at each other. But other than that, that's it. That's all I got. Be gay, do crime. It's Pride Month. Punch your local Nazi.
Excellent. I love it. Rissa, shout outs and plugs.
Yeah, I would just echo come through for Tuesday on our Flights of Fandom BioShock game, where I surely will not be having an encounter with Sander Cohen in any shape, form, or otherwise, and it's not going to hurt or not going to be painful. No,
It's so
it won't.
much fun to be on the other side of this.
Isn't it though? Yeah, come see all of us just be completely unhinged. And also now we're in Fort Frolic. So if you know anything about the BioShock franchise, you'll know that the unhinged gets even more unhinged. So yeah, come join us for that. It's going to be great. Following on from last week's Marissa recommends literature and media related to the themes or other things touched on this episode, I would love to throw a shout out to Lewis Carroll's The Walrus and the Carpenter. It's a great poem. If you haven't read it, you should. If you haven't read it recently, you should go revisit it. It's a good poem. It's got a lot of surreal imagery. It makes total sense that it shows up in something like Invisible Sun. I will also throw a shout out to because why the hell not? 1930s Dracula. If you've not seen the 1930s edition of the Dracula movie, you should. It's very good. A classic piece of classic Hollywood. And yeah, I don't know if Kesh is at all like 1930s Dracula, but I guess in my head now, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, media. It's great. Consume it. Consume it today. Consume yesterday's media. Consume all the media. It's great.
I'm just thinking about all the Draculas where they're just like, why is she enjoying kissing women? It must be the vampirism. Sorry.
Happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride.
Hear the children of the night.
Oh yeah, and shout out to Bill, who we miss and love.
We miss a lot, and I've been screaming at via Discord for about 20 minutes now. Bill is literally going to be Donald Glover coming back into the room with pizza.
God,
very much that vibe.
We're in the darkest timeline. And then for my own part, I'm going to give a shout out to Angel Citadel Josh and Joanne, as well as Fesnerac the Fantastic, Fesnerax rather, who joined us earlier tonight, and I believe are going to be having their own Invisible Sunday once again starting next week. So shout out to them. Hope everything's going well with the move. Miss you guys, and we'll hopefully get a chance to see you soon. On top of that, Encounter Party, really great, fantastic podcast produced and I believe audio engineered by Ned Donovan that you should check out. There's some really cool stuff that everybody should be listening to. As for like games and stuff, check out Vesson, check out the Free League stuff, as well as the fact that the Cypher system is going to have an open license for any of you who are aspiring game designers and want to play in the worlds of Numenera or Cypher System or Godforsaken or The Origin or any number of their other fantastic properties. If you want to put something together, you should refer to that license, start working on your big idea, and publish it out there, because you never know what actual play groups are looking for some fantastic inspiration. So guys, have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care of your loved ones. Take care of yourselves. Be well, be excellent to each other. Just, make sure that you can help and be a force for good where possible. And most importantly, I hope that the invisible sun shines on you all. Good night.